Welcome to our base one baseline, and you'll need your bolsters, your rib bolster and your head bolster for our flapjacks. The We're going to be doing our pelvis corrections today, really focusing on our baseline cueing, and that means you put more focus into your anchor points, how your body is connecting to the ground and feeling the expansion from the ground up through the bones and through the body. So we put more awareness into that concept. And then in addition to that, you want to begin to feel the different layers of the class on a deeper level. This is the class where we spend the most time becoming aware of all those little aspects in the class. And when you develop that in your body, then all the other classes that we do becomes a lot easier because you build in those concepts into your body. So we'll begin this class with the body scan by taking time to observe with our eyes closed. Observe the body in its standing alignment. The more we do these classes and the more that we close our eyes and tune in to a different level of sensations, then we begin to feel where our tension patterns and compression patterns are in our body. And so we close our eyes and we start to tune into the feet, and we notice the tripod foot on the right side and the left side. You want to notice each foot's signature. The right side and the left side aren't going to be equal. They're not going to be the same. They have two different roles. So you want to notice each foot's independent signature. And the goal is to bring some equality to that signature. So maybe one foot has too much pressure on the outside of the foot, less on the big toe foot pad. So the goal of that is to reduce the outside foot pressure and gain more pressure on the inside arch. But it may not feel the same as the other side. So one side is equalizing, and when one side equalizes, it does help the other side, and it may not feel completely equal. So learning to be okay with an imbalance, yet an equalized imbalance. Now check in with your legs. Notice if your legs are putting more pressure into one foot. Notice if one leg feels more forward than the other, like one knee is more forward. And notice if what direction your pelvis is facing. The pelvic headlights, is it pointing off to the left, forward, or to the right? If your right knee is more forward, then likely your pelvis is also more forward on the right. Then that plays a role on the right foot and the right ankle. The slight rotation of the pelvis can throw off the whole lower part of our body. Now let's tune into our pelvic headlights, bringing your fingertips to the navel, tracing down to your pelvic headlight on one side, noticing the distance, the length. How far does the navel travel to the pelvic headlight on one side versus the other? Which side has a shorter distance? Which side has a longer distance? We'll be correcting both sides today. The side that's shorter, we want to gain more length. The side that's longer, we want to shorten that length. Then we bring our awareness to the upper metacenter line, 1 inch below the end of the sternum. Go ahead and feel on your own body. The sternum, that's the chest breastplate. Now where that ends, there's usually a point there. Go 1 inch below that and then just trace a ring around your body. This is the upper metacenter ring. This is where our breath will be today, just focusing on this area. And just notice in your body if you have any thrusting of your pelvic, of your ribs. The ribs feel like that they're flared forward or pushing forward. And then notice if the upper metacenter ring is hovering over the pelvis and if the pelvis is hovering over the feet. Or do you feel like you're leaning forward? Or do you feel like there's any jutting to the side with the hips? Now let's just take a quick scan of your compression. What side is holding more compression? The right or the left? Good. Now slowly open your eyes. Now let's make our way down to the ground for our next phase, decompression. We may not feel the static, but the joints are sending a continuous communication to the brain of the static. So that joint static is a interference, and then over time it could lead to pain. And that definitely becomes a huge interference when it evolves in the pain static communication. So we tune into the meta restore position and the 9 points. The feet, back of the hands, and the shoulder blades. First focus there. Allow those 6 areas to drop into the ground. It's allowing those bones and that part of your body to drop in deeper. And now let's focus on the spine. We have our sacrum between our shoulder blades, the thoracic spine apex, and the back of the head. Allow those 3 points to sink deeper. And allow those 3 points to get heavier. Now tune into the space between the head and the thoracic spine. That's the cervical spine curve is there. Notice if you feel a curve, or notice if it feels flat and straight. When we lay in the meta restore position, that curve is going to lengthen. But we still want to have stability in the curve. Just a longer curve, but not a flat line. Now notice the space between the thoracic spine apex and the sacrum. The lumbar curve. Notice if you have a curve in your body, or does it feel flat? Can you feel the difference without touching it? Now let's bring some awareness with our hands. So take your left or your right hand and slide onto your low back. And is there a breezeway, as one of our meta movers likes to say? Is there a breezeway, a little pathway under the spine in your low back, or does your hand get stuck? You want a slight lift. That's one of your goals of the overall repatterning of this work. Now bring your hand up to the cervical spine. Can you pass your hand underneath your cervical spine? Or does it feel flat? Does the hand get stuck? So this is going to be your opportunity to learn about your body. Now let's go into our muscle melting. It's the next step. We muscle melt, so we remove the muscle tension that can interfere with our repatterning. So release those muscles. And you know what? This is really helpful for your day-to-day life when we get all tense and tight from work or stress. So learning to relax is really beneficial. Then we have our deep armor, our bracing. If you notice that, then we add in the 3-point or the 3-step dialogue. Then we bring ourselves to our breath. Now let's bring our hands up to our upper metacenter line. Let's go ahead and breathe how most people are breathing. And that is forward, breathing into the rib thrust forward 100% of the breath. Can you even do that as a advanced mover? For the beginner movers, this is probably going to be easy. Breathe forward only into the rib thrust. This is how the majority of the population is breathing. For every inhalation, the rib thrust gets reinforced, gets stuck, becomes rigid. Okay, now let's bring some focus into inhaling into the back. So 50% goes forward, 50% goes in the back. Are you able to split the breath in half, front to back? Notice what that provides you in your spine and your ribs. It provides me some length and some ease in on the back side of my body. Try that split breath, 50% front, back, a few more times. Placing your hands on the sides of your ribs. Let's breathe to the right and to the left ribs along the upper metacenter line. So try not to breathe forward and backwards or into the back, just right to left. Feel the ribs open up to the side. Then with the exhale, on both sides, they slowly sink in. Are you breathing into your side ribs? This could be a cause or a contribution to your neck discomfort if you're not breathing into your side ribs. Now let's split it up into all 4 directions. Can you breathe all 4 directions? Very good. And now when you inhale, let's see if you can knit the ribs by pulling the upper abdominals or tightening the upper abs so both sides of the ribs pull towards each other. And then breathing in that 3-dimensional all direction with the inhale without flattening the lumbar spine. This is our pelvis breath, our base 1 breath. Now, keeping your hands there, let's bring our feet into the line of the leg. Let's begin our hip clock vertical rhythm movements. Pushing the feet into the ground, noticing if the rib cage flares or stays in one place. And then we pull the feet towards the glutes. The hamstrings activate. So it's all done from your feet. Noticing if the rib flares and thrusts forward. Want to train your body to not thrust forward with either of these two movements. Pulling and pushing, the rib stays back. Now let's press into the right foot for the 3 o'clock horizontal rhythm. Notice if the right rib thrusts forward or does it stay back. Lower the right side of the pelvis, press the left foot into the ground as the left side of the pelvis elevate. There might be a slight elevation, but you want to notice, does it thrust? Is there a lot of energy going into the rib cage forward? What we're aiming for is differentiation, that this upper metacenter ring stays in the stack position, in the alignment position, when the pelvis and the lumbars move. We want to train our body to have some differentiation, separation, and when it's time, it moves together. It moves independently and moves together. We train both. This is an independent training right now. This mobility phase. Keep going from right to left, trying to move the ribs or trying to move the pelvis independently from the ribs. So the ribs aren't moving. They're not lifting. They're staying in one place. Notice how that changes the movement. Beautiful. Now continue to do your base one. Upper metacenter breath. Now let's go into our rib cage mobilization. Bringing our arms out to 90 degrees. I'm going to do some arm glides. Let's place our right hand up on the top of the sternum. Now pull the elbow in towards the ribs. We call this the elbow clamp. This shortens the space between the ribs. And this creates a side bending of the right rib cage. Can you feel that? You press your hand into the chest and you lift the right elbow up more. Then the shoulder and the arm becomes independent from the ribs. Now let's rotate our head to look over at the left hand. And then we slide our right hand along the inside of the left arm. Try not to shoulder thrust forward. Try not to lift that shoulder up towards the sky. When the right hand is over the left shoulder, the left scapula sinks to the ground, while the right elbow is lifting up without the right shoulder hike. Now let's lift the head. That activates the side neck, and the right hand glides along the inside of the left arm. And notice how the right foot presses into the ground to help with the pelvis pointing to the left and the right hand gliding to the left hand. That right foot plays a role. And the left knee pulls in towards the right so it doesn't just splay out to the side. Now go as far as you can go and try to relax. Relax the pelvis. Find that upper metacenter breath. The head is lifted up off of the ground. The left shoulder pressing into the ground. Gently, not a lot. And then we're breathing into the rib cage, relaxing the pelvis even more. Now slowly glide the right hand along the inside of the left arm, bringing the head all the way down, but still looking over at the left. Then we rotate the head to face the sky. Keep your hand at the sternum. We'll do that again. The head rotates to the left. And then we slide the right hand to the left shoulder. Once it gets there, then we lift our head, but the left scapula sinks. Sink that left scapula. Keep the chin tucked so it doesn't thrust forward. Then the right foot presses into the ground slightly so the right hand glides along the inside of the left arm. Notice on the second round how you can go further. Pull the left knee in towards the right. That activates the adductor line, the inside line. Now relax the ribs, relax the pelvis. Breathe into the upper metacenter, especially the right ribs and the back. Slowly glide the right hand along the inside of the left arm. Once the right hand reaches the left front shoulder, lower the head. Then rotate the head, lift up off the ground. Eye gaze up towards the sky, then the right arm out to the 90 degree. Now bring the left arm up to the top of the chest. Lower the left elbow to the ribs. Notice how that side bends you to the left and it compresses the ribs. It's what the elbow clamping does. Lift the left elbow up. That isolates the shoulder girdle away from the ribs. Let's rotate our eye gaze over to the right hand. Slide the left hand to the right shoulder. Notice how there's that tendency to thrust the right shoulder forward. Instead, bring awareness to that right scapula and let it sink to the ground. Now lift the head. Press into the right scapula. The left foot helps by pressing into the ground, and that left pelvis lifts up. Pull the right knee in towards the left. Slide the left hand. Go as far as you can go. Pause. Pull the right knee in towards the left. The left foot is pressing into the ground to help with the left, or with the pelvis pointing to the right. Breathe into the upper metacenter space. Slowly glide the left hand along the inside of the right arm until that left hand reaches the right shoulder. The head lowers, and the eye gaze looks up towards the sky. Keeping the hand still at the chest. Now slowly rotate your head back over to the right. Slide your left hand to the right shoulder, or the right scapula sinks. Left elbow up towards the sky. Begin to press the left foot into the ground as you lift the head. The left foot pressure helps with the ribcage rotation. Go a little bit further than you did before. Now pull the right knee in to activate that inner right line. Now breathe into the left ribs and into the back rib. And slowly glide the left hand along the inside. The head lowers. Notice how that activated the side neck, which is important for the abdominal coordination. Rotate the eye gaze up towards the sky. Now let's do our abdominal activation. That's because this helps seal the mobilization. Bring the knees up to tabletop. Lift the arms up to front bug, 90 degrees out. The right hand crosses over to the left hand or to the left knee. Pull the left knee up into the right hand. Good. Do you feel that activation between the abdominals? Now reach the right heel down to the ground without flattening the back. Keep a small back curve. Keep the left knee pressing up into the right hand. Bring the right knee back up to tabletop. Can you reach the right scapula to the ground? It's important to try to reach for all these keys. If you can't get them, it's all good. Lower the right heel, tap, and come back up. Pull the left knee into the right hand. And lower the feet all the way down. Bring the right arm back up. Bring the knees back up. Left hand crosses over to the right hand. Pull the right knee up into the left hand. Left scapula reaches to the ground. Now lower the left heel to the ground without flattening the back. Keep the upper metacenter down. Tap the left heel. Pull the right knee into the left hand. It's hard to do all these little cues. And tap. Good. Pull the right knee into the left hand. And slowly lower the legs. Arms back up. And now check the pelvic headlight. Does it feel the same as when you were standing? Is that side that was longer still long? Did it shorten up at all? Let's shorten up that length just a little bit more. So the side that was longer, bring that knee up to the tabletop with the right heel relaxed, right foot relaxed. The hands will clasp up on the shin, the front of the knee. Now pull the knee towards the opposite shoulder until you feel some jamming up into the joint. Now melt into that space. Now push the knee in a diagonal direction away from that opposite shoulder. So it's going down and out on the same side that it's on. So if it's the right leg, it's going down and to the right. If it's the left leg, it's going down and to the left. Pushing, and your hands are resisting. Your hands are resisting the movement. Slowly relax. And then go back up towards that opposite shoulder. Notice if you can go further. That's when you know you've made some correction. Push the right or push the knee up into the hand. Now you know what side I'm working on, the right side. Try not to lift the pelvis up on the right side. Keep the pelvis towards the ground. Just let the knee move, and that activates the hip. Slowly relax. Now bring the knee all the way back to the beginning. Lower the foot down to the ground. Now open up the feet to the super wide line of the leg. Whatever side that you just did that correction on, open up the feet to the super wide line of the leg. Now allow the knee to drop towards the ground. So we open up the foot to allow the knee to drop towards the ground. Now just find the end range. What's your stopping point? Find that stopping point and melt the interference in the hip Allow that space to melt inside of the hip. That could be some cartilage, could be part of the joint capsule, some ligaments, some muscles, tendons. And then as you allow that space to melt, then you can feel the right knee dropping down towards the ground. You want to allow the melt to occur so the knee gets lower without forcing, with the remodeling of the joint. The joint remodels. Good, now slowly pull that knee up, slide the foot back to the line of the leg. Bring the opposite leg up, straighten that leg. Bring the opposite, the shorter headlight to the navel, shorter distance. And now you're going to slowly bring the knee out, down and out, away from the opposite shoulder. So if it's the left knee you're working with, the shorter side, you go down to the left. If it's the right knee, you go down to the left. And your one arm holds the knee. And then it just splays out to the side. Allow the knee to splay out the side. You're going to feel the outside of the foot. You'll feel the inner thigh, the adductor stretching. That's what we want on that shorter pelvic headlight. Want to feel the adductors stretching, because the adductors get too short on the side that has a shorter pelvic headlight or a shorter distance. And then allow the lengthening of the adductor to occur. So you find your end range and then you melt into that end range. Allowing the tendon that's attached to the bone to lengthen. Now slowly bring the knee back up to the starting position. And then placing the foot on the ground, pulling up the other leg. Go through some vertical rhythms. Place your fingertips on your pelvic headlights. Noticing that the pelvic headlights move together, up and down. Even if they don't move together yet, over the class, it'll change. Now let's go through our stability phase, which strengthens the muscles around the correction of the pelvis. Starting with our pelvic up. Let's find the line of the leg. Create the small back curve. Press the feet into the ground. Pelvis lifts up. And if we did all that right, we'd feel the glutes activate within 10 seconds without squeezing them, but the movement creates the activation. Can you feel the glutes activating? If you don't, it's all right. Now let's slowly lower the pelvis. Tap the pelvis, press the foot, both feet back into the ground to lift up. That's 1. At what count do you begin to feel your glutes? Just take note. Tap 2. Tap 3. Tap 4. Tap 5. Tap 6. Tap 7 and hold. Do you feel the glutes now? Or do you feel it in the knee? Do you feel it in the low back? Where do you feel it? Hold. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly lower the pelvis all the way down, keeping the low back curve. All right, now let's go into our flapjacks. Grabbing our bolsters, let's lay on the right side together. Right arm, 90 degrees. Let's place the left arm in our kickstand hand, starting up in our starfish, lowering kickstand hand. Kickstand hand helps the scapula stay on the back. When we bring our hand all the way down, that pulls the shoulder a little bit more forward, which collapses our chest. When we're in kickstand hand, the shoulder gets pulled back. Can you feel that difference? Dorsiflex the ankles, lift the top knee and the top foot, the top leg. Now let's go into the internal rotation of the left femur. The left foot lifts and the left knee rises and the left heel touches. So this is our flapjack, a knee kiss and a heel kiss. Knee kiss, heel kiss, 2. Keep the right knee on the ground. Knee kiss, heel kiss, 3. Knee kiss, heel kiss, 4. 5. 6. And 7. And hold the leg out here. 5, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower all the way down. Press yourself up. Let's go to the other side. The first round here is teaching the body to communicate. See, there's this belief that when we just move our body, the muscles do the job, but they don't. Oftentimes they have what is called sensory motor amnesia. They've forgotten how to work and forgotten how to communicate. So the first round today is setting up that communication bridge, lifting up the top leg, knee kiss, heel kiss, the heels touch, the pelvic headlight stays in one place as much as you can, so you can measure with your fingertip, check with your right pelvic headlight, notice if it continues to point forward. Once it starts opening up towards the sky, we've lost some differentiation, or we've lost some stability. So keeping the left knee on the ground and the right pelvic headlight pointing forward. Knee kiss, heel kiss, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and hold for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly lower all the way down. Now we have our fire hydrant lean that activates more of the glutes. So we start off in our back bug position. Hands under the shoulders, a little bit wider, wrist crease forward. Elbow tips out to the side as far as your elbows will allow. Try not to force it. Find your own end range. Scoop the chin, knit the rib, point the tailbone up. This is our 4-point anchor system. Now let's slide our left hand to the right, and the right hand slides out. Keep the left knee in the same place. That creates some mobility and sinking of the right hip. Can you feel it in the right hip? Put more pressure into the left hand and into the right knee. Allow that sinking of the joint to occur. Now come on up, lift the left knee, shift over to the right. Now we're into the intentional hip jut. Sink your right hand into the ground, right elbow tip slides out to the side. Scoop the chin, knit the rib, point the tailbone up, lift the right leg up. Try not to move the pressure into the left hand. Keep the left knee lifted. Lower, kiss, and lift for 1. Stay in the right hand. Kiss, 2. Right elbow out. Kiss, 3. Kiss, 4. Kiss, 5. Kiss, 6. Kiss, 7. Hold. Hold for 5, 4. Lift the knee up. 3, 2, 1. Lower all the way down. Let's go back over to the back bug. Reestablishing the back bug anchor points. Notice your quad pod palm is your index finger hand pad lifting up off the ground. If so, lower it. Elbow tips out. Let's slide our right hand over, left hand out. Keep the right knee on the ground. Allow the left hip to sink into the joint. The pressure of your right hand and the left knee allows that left hip to open and left hip to sink and melt. Melt into the left hip. You got to ground expand through that left knee though. This is why this baseline class is so important, to learn to ground expand. Ground expand through the left knee to lift the pelvis up, to open up the left hip joint and let it melt. Now lift the right knee. Let's go over to the left. Left elbow tip out to the side. Scoop the chin, knit the rib, point the tailbone up towards the sky. Lift the right leg. Try not to right hip jut or right hip hike. Lower the right leg, tap and lift for 1. Tap, 2. Tap, 3. Tap, 4. Keep in the left hand. Lift the right knee. 5. Elbow tip out. 6. And 7. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower all the way down. Now we have our back bug circles, introducing our equalization phase. Start with small circles, clockwise to the right. Small. Then we start to grow out and do a medium-sized circle, then a large circle. Using the hands to help press our hips into different vectors going around the hip joint. The other direction now. Going to the left, counterclockwise, small circles. Try to keep a small back curve so we are mobilizing the hips with a lumbar curve. Counterclockwise, medium, large circles. Keeping your lumbar curve present the whole time, ribs knitted, chin scooped. Holding that structural stack, that center of gravity line, training the joints to remodel and repattern around that line. Now let's go front to back. Back bug tracking. Going back, keeping from tilting the sacrum too far. So go as far as you can while holding the lumbar curve. Keeping your lumbar curve, go back as far as you can go. And once you start to feel that lumbar spine starting to round, that's as far as you go. Good. Now let's roll over onto our back. Let's bring our left leg up to the sky reach. Let's do 4-foot ankle pumps. Pushing the toes forward, then the heels up. Now placing the left foot over the right knee. Lift the right knee up to the figure 4. This is where you can use a strap. If your head lifts up, you can just place your rib bolster under your head to prop up the head up. So when you grab the shin, your head will be supported. Because we want to avoid the chin thrust at all times. Now let's roll to our right, finding that still point. With the head propped up is totally fine. Allowing the head to relax so that the left hip can stretch. The hip won't stretch unless you melt. There is an art to the melting. And slowly rock all the way onto your back, placing the right foot back on the ground, lifting the left leg back up to sky reach. Does it feel easier? Right leg up to the sky reach. 4 ankle pumps. Point the toes in the Tai Chi foot. Lift the heel up in a dorsiflexion. Find the end ranges. Placing the right foot over the left knee. Placing your head bolster under your head. Lifting the knee. Clasping your hands behind the thigh or on the shin. Now find the melting. Reconnect to the upper metacenter breath. Now let's roll to the left, finding our still point. And then we allow the melting to occur even more. The right hip feels tight and tense. You can get so much more depth in your stretch by melting. Slowly roll over onto your back, removing the head bolster out of the way, lifting the right leg back up to the sky reach. Does it feel better? Head or the right foot touches the ground. Bring your fingertips up to your headlights. Noticing in your vertical rhythm if your pelvic headlights are tracking better. Are they tracking together? So your 6 o'clock and your push, your 12 o'clock, feel more coordinated and even. Check from the navel to the headlight on both sides. Does it feel more even? Let's go into your horizontal rhythm. Does the horizontal rhythm feel easier as well? Do you feel the glute activation when you push the foot into the ground? Now let's stand all the way up for our hamstring wall stretch. This is one of probably the best hamstring stretch on the market. Placing your hands at elbow height, shoulder width apart or wider. Taking a step back with one leg, then the other. Sliding the hands down the wall. Now going through the melting to allow the pelvis to rotate into the 6 o'clock and the tailbone reaching up towards the sky. At the same time, knitting the ribs. Now draw the navel up towards the spine. Open the elbow tips to the side. Scoop the chin. Find all 3 tripod points. Look down. Notice which knee is more forward. Pull that knee back. Bring the other knee forward. Rotate the pelvis into the 6 o'clock. Tailbone up. Create the lumbar curve. Draw the navel in. Pressing the hands into the wall, lengthening through the spine. And slowly bringing your eye gaze up between the hands and then standing all the way up, stepping forward with the opposite leg. Standing all the way up. Then we go to our meta wide squat. Going back to the middle of the room. Let's go into our A-frame leg stance. Toes pointing out, 45-degree line. Then when we go down, the pelvis, the ribs, and the head stay in the stacked alignment and center of gravity. So not tipping forward. The pelvis is slightly back to create a lumbar curve. Bring the arms out to the side at 90, pinky up. And when we hold, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, open the knees, 12, 11, 10, 9, lift the hands up, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now straighten the legs. Open the kneecaps up to the side, slightly at 45 degrees. Lower the arms. Now walk the feet back. Now bring our bodies and our minds back into the body scan state. Eyes closed. Tuning in to the changes after class with all the different corrections we did in the pelvis, the strengthening of the glutes, the realigning of the legs, rebalancing of the tripod. Noticing the compression difference. Did it change from what you started with? Noticing if the tripod pressure feels different. Bring the fingertips to the navel, trace out the headlight. Right and left, did you gain more length or shorten up the length? Does it feel the same? So you're just not sure. It's all good. Just noticing the changes. What changes can you notice? Noticing the upper metacenter ring. Does it feel more aligned over the pelvis? Is there less thrust? Now let's do 3 upper metacenter breaths to close our class. Breathing 3-dimensionally in the upper metacenter ring. Good. And just notice after those 3 breaths, what's now available. And opening your eyes, and can you return back to this feeling with this breath? So sometime today, return back to this breath to see if you can return back to this equalized body state. Thanks for